everybody. This is the morning of my 36-hour run, or as I call it, a 36-hour day. So basically what I'll be doing is I'm getting up this morning. I got up at 9. I normally get up at 5, but I knew that I could sleep some, so I slept in for as long as my body would let me, and that's going to be about 9 o'clock for me. I did go ahead and drink some cream in my coffee, whipped cream in my coffee. I normally don't, but since I know I'm going to be up for a while, I definitely want to increase the calories to decrease the cortisol. This is a rough kind of day. This is not something I normally do, but we need the extra income, and unfortunately I have got to be here. I've got my wife and some other people working for us right now over on the 43, and they are getting that fence ready. There's some stuff that I have to do that they're unable to do, and so I'm going to have to do that, and then I'm going to drive all night. And I will stop. If I need to stop, then I'll stop and sleep. But then I'll drive, and then I'll get there and go to work all day the next day. So that will be roughly 36 hours by the time I put my head down and actually go to sleep. All right, I'm going to get this trailer hooked up. We're going to go join the crew. We're going to go out there and do some fencing, and then after that, I'll be ready to go. All right, guys, it's been pretty well a full day. We got a bunch of fencing work done, and I am switching vehicles now. We've got about a couple more hours of light. I'm going to drive all the way to Georgia. Probably won't be leaving just yet. I have to stop in Ruston and grab a few things. Sorry about the lighting issue. So I've got to stop in Ruston, like I said, grab a few things. And then in an hour or so, probably when it's getting close to dark, I will be heading out and heading up into Georgia. It's going to be about a 7.5 hour drive, something like that. Well, actually, I think it's closer to 8 hours. We go into a different time zone. So, all right, guys, here we go. Starting, we're about hour 12. Well, we're about hour 10 right now in our 36-hour day. After taking care of everything else in Ruston and driving all the way here, we're about 24 hours into our 36-hour day. This is the aluminum plant. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of scrap aluminum here. There's a lot of different things around. This will be my first time in an aluminum plant. So right over here where we're going to be working, we're actually working right next to this forge. And so it's pretty darn hot. Now, it's not as bad as a steel mill that I've worked in before, but essentially these are two forges side by side. And one forge, the wall is actually starting to collapse outward. So what we're doing is an emergency temporary fix. Now, this is a large hammer that's actually blowing out all of the fire brick inside of there, and there's a lot in there, so it's really cool that they've got something that big that's in there. Now, this is not the biggest machine that I've seen, but these are a little bit bigger than some of them that we usually use out here. This company, they have all sorts of different branches, and some of them do concrete, and some of them do welding work and things like that. I work on the welding side and then a little bit of the mechanical side. But what we're doing here, this is just another little shot of this so you can get an idea what it looks like. But you can see all of this brick, all this fire brick, they just blew out, and they got in there with an excavator and actually pulled it all out of there. And so that wall, all the walls are starting to cave, like collapse outward. So like we're really close, and I want to show you a good shot right here, just how close we are. You can see this is a melting aluminum right here beside us, but fortunately we had several welders on there and we kind of rotated out, so it was pretty hard on me because I'd already been working for so long and I was ready to get some sleep, but because we were able to rotate out, it wasn't terrible. So by this point I was ready to get some sleep, so I took a quick nap for lunch. Wasn't very comfortable, but I was so tired it didn't really matter. This is a little golf cart I wanted to show my wife. It'd be great for the farm. So these are the pure aluminum blocks that they use. when they're in the process of melting down the aluminum, the scrap aluminum, not all aluminum is created equal. Some has different types of hardeners and some is made more flexible. So by having this pure aluminum, if the mix starts to get a little bit off because of their scrap aluminum, then they can put this pure aluminum in there and kind of get the mix back right again, because they're making a specific product from all of the scrap and from this purified aluminum. This plant is pretty cool because what they do is they get all of this different aluminum and they make these huge aluminum logs, is what they call them, and then they take the log itself and they'll press it down into a product. And I'll show you a little bit later in the video. You'll see more of that as the video goes on. This is a pretty good shot inside of there before the aluminum starts to melt. Now, as always, we couldn't have a full day without having some mechanical problems. The crane actually broke down and they were working on it, but unfortunately, millwrights are not always the best mechanics. So it is what it is. So this right here, you can see there's some pretty ugly welds. When you get these people out here, there's all sorts of different people working together, and some of them are good welders and some of them aren't. All right, guys, so I'm going to jump in the shower, and that concludes today. We'll see how tomorrow goes. So this is what makes the big cylinders that y'all got? Is this right here?
Yeah. We call them aluminum logs.
Okay. What are they making them logs for?
They go in the press.
Oh, to put them on the press.
Yeah.
So these are different minerals that they use. This right here is copper. It's kind of cool here. You can see it oxidizing on top, but then it's still good down underneath. This is just copper chips, but they use different minerals to add to your aluminum product, and that's going to make it harder or softer in different ways, and then add other benefits to the aluminum. This one right here is silica, and I believe the silica is the main one they use as the hardener. So this is the second day at the hotel. I don't normally get a hotel room. A lot of times y'all know that I will camp out, but with it being very hot and me having the first day as a 36-hour day, and then all of the additional days are 12-hour days, I'm going to actually come in here and get some good sleep. This is a cheaper hotel, but it was actually clean, so I went ahead and took it. So I actually always back up to the hotel, but I had to do that just to get the shot so that y'all would get the full effect of what's going on. So most of these guys are not really super good welders, but it really doesn't matter here. I mean, you'll see some rough welds and some of the welds are good, but we're pretty much just holding this together the best we can as a temporary fix. So I just had a quick lunch, and now I'm laying in the shade in my truck as best I can, taking a quick nap. That's how these kind of jobs are. You pretty much just have to sleep when you get a chance. So, night night. Well, this will be the last night at the hotel. I'm coming in to work. When I'm working this hard, or even when I do that hard of a beginning, like I did with the 36-hour beginning, I'm always careful to make sure that I sleep as much as I can, like as soon as I get back to the hotel. And like a lot of y'all know, sometimes I'll go and I'll camp, and you know, when I'm doing that is when the job, when I'm not staying up a huge amount, and then I can actually afford to have that discomfort. But when I'm more, when I have to put a lot of stress on myself, or it's really hot or something like that, then obviously I'm going to take better care of myself in other ways, you know. So usually what I've been doing is basically just getting straight back to the hotel immediately and going to sleep, and I'll get between 9 and 10 hours of sleep at least. by doing that. And one way that I can do that is by going, making sure that I eat breakfast and making sure that I eat lunch, and then that way I don't really have to eat supper. I might can have a snack or something if I want it. I don't really want to fast a lot during this time because I don't want the added stress, but I can just have like a snack, like a protein shake or something like that on the way home, and then that way I can just get, or back to the hotel is what I mean, and then that way I can just go straight to bed from there as soon as I get a shower. Obviously, I mean, you see how dirty my face is. That's from my pancake welding hood. It always puts black marks on my face if I, depending on where I've been working at. This is somewhere where they've got a lot of soot and stuff. So that's just kind of how it goes, but that's how I take care of myself. It's not the best. It's not something that I do often. I don't want to like really overdo it in that way. I know that it can be very stressful and very bad. But I really think that the chronic stress of being stressed non-stop, chronic stress, is where the big problem comes in. I feel like bouts of stress that help you to accomplish a goal as a man can actually be beneficial sometimes, especially if that bout of stress can pull off a big win or big success. Like that. You do have to be careful, especially me. I tend to push myself really hard, and I've had to learn over time, okay, where's the line, what's too hard and what's not. So that's just something I've been doing. I'm not suggesting that other people do it, but it does work sometimes, and I do feel like that as long as, for the most part, I'm sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night. Like when I get back home, it's usually 8 hours a night. And then it allows me on, and I eat very clean. I eat really, really clean food and really good food. I rarely drink. I don't sit there and smoke and everything. I'll have a cigar on occasion, but I rarely do anything that's really bad for my body. So I feel like on occasion, bouts of stress like that may even be helpful. I don't know. I would love to see some science on that. But whatever the case may be, it is sometimes necessary, I think, as a man to push yourself one way or the other. And since we know that chronic stress isn't good, for me, being able to do these kinds of things like bouts of really hard work, really, really high stress, hard work, but then come back home and work at the house, but lower the stress a little bit, really seems to help. And it provides me and my wife both the life that we enjoy. So, and one reason why I got into doing this was actually I needed it as a man. It wasn't so much for the money. Right now that we've bought the new land, the money really helps. But for a while, it wasn't really for the money at all. We were doing good with the business. It was just because we were both at the house all the time, and we were both running the business together. And as a couple, we needed a little time apart. Not too much time, but we did need a little bit of time apart, a little bit of space, and that just made us appreciate it more. But also, me as a man, I found that some type of adventure, some type of way to push myself and make me feel like it's just, I'm not sure what it is, but a man really, or at least I really need that. And I feel like a lot of men need that type of adventure. Since I was able to, find a way to get that adventure, have a lot of fun, spend time with guys, with a lot of men, because I have a lot of women that work for me. So it helps me to kind of spend time with some men and work, and so it's like a retreat in some ways, but yet hard. So it's like an adventure, but yet I'm actually able to make some really, really good money from it as well. So anyway, very interesting. Anyone that has not considered doing shutdown work might be something worth checking out. All right, guys. So I'm headed out of the job. I do not like to leave a job early. I very much like to finish that job. This time I got a very important appointment down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Me and my wife have been nominated as number 3 to win the Farm Bureau Award for farming. So we're third in line, but we could end up being number 1, and we're competing for that number 1 spot. And so I've got to go down there and speak on that today, or no, actually tomorrow morning. So unfortunately, I have no choice but to leave early in the job. I try very hard not to do that, not to leave early, but I had to do it. As always, I really enjoyed it. This was a job. It was a job that I did. It was the first time that I've ever been in an aluminum plant. I actually really got it. Really enjoyed the job, and it's interesting working for this company specifically. Now I work for multiple companies, but this company specifically it's basically like multiple companies put together. Not really, but just because you know one boss doesn't mean you've got the in for all of the different places in the job. So it's kind of interesting because it's my first time working in these aluminum plants, but sometimes I'll go and I'll work for some people and it's in a concrete plant, or I'll work in a sawmill or something like that. Well, this line specifically specializes in aluminum plants. So I'm going to actually get the guy's contact, and I'm going to try to start coming out here more often because it's right here in Georgia. It's around the Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina area. It's kind of in that area. And I really like the area. I like coming out here. I like to stay for a little bit and hike and hang out and things like that. I just enjoy the whole thing about it, and also am enjoying the people at the job, and I'm kind of enjoying the whole dynamic. So I've decided, I went ahead and got the guy's contact, and I've decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start trying to hit him up. I'm still working for the same company. Like I said, I work for multiple companies, but I'm going to start trying to hit him up and come out here more often. And that'd be nice, because we get paid drive time from everywhere, and sometimes it's kind of nice because I work really, really hard on the farm, and it's kind of nice because I can get paid for a 7-8 hour drive, and then that 7-8 hours of pay is not taxed, plus per diem, plus mileage, plus everything. It's really good pay, and you don't get taxed on any of that. And all I have to do is sit and drive. And so it's kind of nice because I didn't used to like driving, but now that I'm getting paid for it, I'm like, it's a good change of pace. I end up getting 2 days out of the deal where I'm just driving, and I can really just kind of make a little bit of extra money while resting a little bit. I wouldn't want to do it every day. I wouldn't want to do it as a living, but I can do it as part of that living. And then you go up there and you have a great time. You work, you weld, and it's just all great all the way around. So it's definitely something I'm interested in. I think I'm going to start to try to pursue that a little bit more. Maybe get away from the sawmills just a little bit if I can. We'll see. I mean, I like it all. I like all of it. So we'll see. For a time I did pipeline and I did gas plants, and I've done all of it, you know what I mean? But I like to rotate around and kind of, it's more for fun for me, and along with the additional income. And right now I'm pushing a little bit harder because it is about the extra money to help pay for that land. And I've done that in the past. I'll go through phases where I'll push a little bit harder, and then there's other times I'll back off. But as I've mentioned in videos before, I try very hard to never get to the point where I back off completely. I don't ever want to get to a point where I just get lazy or complacent or too restful. It's not attractive to your wife, but it's not healthy for you as a man either. So, all right, guys, well, that about wraps this video up. I'm going down to meet my wife down there. I'm really excited to see her. It's been a few days. We always really nice to get to reconnect and get back together again. So that'll be a lot of fun, guys, and then we'll be back to the farm. So thank you all so much for liking and watching.